Hello, my name is Andy Milner and I am the band director at Paintsville Independent Schools in Paintsville, Kentucky. It's been a very long time since I've been able to upload another video. It's been roughly a little over a year. So my hair is different, all this is different. Not sure about my belly, it's probably a lot different too. But anyway, we're going to pick up from where we left off, which we're going to be coming in on lesson 14 in the book of Master Theory, right, by Charles S. Peters and Paul Yoder. All right, lesson 14 is a review. It starts off with number 1 being a treble clef, and we are in 6/4. There's a whole note, a half note, I'm sorry, and a quarter rest, and there, and that. Just take a moment and I'll draw these out. Okay, it says write the beats under each note and rest in exercise 1 and 2. Well, on the paper, this is exercise 1. All right, every measure is going to be starting with either a 1 or a rest. It'll always be like that. Well, in this case, since it's a note, it's going to start with a 1. And because it is a half note is worth 2 beats, you'll show that by writing 1-2. In the book, it has you showing your rest by putting an R, so that's fine. And then we have another half note. Now the R took the place of beat 3, so actually, I'm sorry. So we'll move on to beat 4. 4-5, and then the quarter note takes up beat 6, just like that. So those are your counts: 1-2 with a rest, 4-5, and then 6. Moving on, this is a dotted whole note. So remember, in your previous lessons, a whole note gets 4 beats, but when you add a dot to it, that takes up half of the note that came before its value. So if this is 4. The dot takes half of 4, and it equals a total of 6. So you would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you would connect those all with dashes. Okay, moving on over here. Again, because this is a note, we start all new measures with a 1. But because it's worth 2 beats, we show that by 1-2. Then we move on to 3. And that's all that gets, because this is a quarter note and it only gets 1 beat. So then we move on to 4, 4-5, and then 6. Now each measure is going to add up to 6, because this top number shows us how many beats we get in the measure. Now a half note over here would normally get 1-2. But because there's a dot on that note, it gets half of that value. So it adds an extra beat. So we show that by 1-2-3. And then we move on to here, 4-5-6. Okay? Fantastic. Now, I'm going to take a moment and draw exercise 2. Exercise 2 is in 3/4, so it'll be slightly different. And for time's sake, I'll just draw, I won't go all the way through exercise 2, but this will be enough to give you an example. Okay, so just because we have a 3, 4 doesn't change anything in terms of the counting. The only difference is, rather than going to 6 beats per measure, we can only go to 3. So we always start with 1 or a rest, you know, and a standard half note being 1-2, but because it has the dot, we go ahead and we add 3, just like that. Here we have a half note that doesn't have a dot, so it's just 1-2, and 3 takes the remaining beat in the measure. This is exactly the same as this, so we just write that. Here we're dealing with a half rest. Now this is our first instance where we have the rest on the first part of the beat. So the way that we show that is an R. Now because it is a half rest, it's not only going to get 1 R, it's going to get 2 R's. Showing this, R-R. Now, some people, some of my beginning students would go ahead and put a 1 there because it's the first beat that they get to see. But remember that this R takes up the first beat, this R takes up the second beat, so we must move on to beat 3. Here we have 1, rest, 3, with that rest taking up beat 2. All right, now take a look at exercise 3. I'll draw a little bit of that for you all. We have a quarter note, quarter rest, quarter note, quarter rest, dotted half, quarter rest, half note, quarter, quarter, and dotted half. Okay, it gives us a treble clef, and it also gives us a time signature. Now, that time signature, of course, means that we have 4 beats per measure, and that the quarter note gets the beat. So what that means is that, and what they're asking us to do is to draw in the missing bar lines and then write the beats. So in order to draw in missing bar lines, I have to know how many beats there are in a measure. And at each time that we equal 4 beats, I will draw a vertical line that represents a measure. So this takes up 1 beat, this takes up 2, and then 3, and then 4. And because we're in 4 beats per measure, we're in 4/4, I'm going to draw my first measure line there. Then I move on. Remember, a half note gets 2 beats, but the dot adds 1, so that makes it 3. This rest is a quarter rest, so that's 1. Altogether, that equals 4. All right, then we're over here. Remember, this half rest gets 2 beats. Then this will take up beat 3 and beat 4. So our next measure line needs to go here. And then right there, we have an instance where we've got the quarter rest, which is 1, and the dotted half, which is 3, and that equals our full measure, which I'll just pretend that's a bar line. All right, then it tells us to write the beats in under the notes. So I'm going to work through this quickly. 1, rest, 3, rest, 1-2-3, rest, R-R, 3, 4, rest, and then we come in on beat 2. All right, that's how that works. All right, number 4 is the same way, except it's in 3/4. Now we're gonna move on to exercise 5. Show you how to do these. exercise 5, let me go ahead and draw what's on here for you. And pardon me if the writing is not that good or that neat. Okay, and I don't need to write in the rest. I think you can get the idea. It says place the correct time signature in exercise 5 and 6. All right, so this is kind of reversed from what the last exercises were. Last exercises, of course, wanted you to write in the bar lines. But in this instance, you have the bar lines written for you, but it's telling you to write in the correct time signature. They're already giving you the bottom number there, telling you that the quarter note gets the beat. So here we have 2 quarter notes within that measure. Well, just because we have it in one measure doesn't necessarily mean that this piece is written in 2/4. It's a very good indication, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's in 2/4. But as I look over here, there's 2 beats in this measure. It's a half note, 1-2. And then I look here, it's a rest and a beat 2. So there's 2 beats there. And here's another time, just like this, that contains 2 beats. And here another time. So after I see about 2 or 3 of these, I have to look and say, hey, okay, this piece is really in 2/4. All right. After you figure that out, then you can go in and write in the counts. 1-2, 1, 2, rest 2, 1-2, rest 2, rest 2. Okay, exercise 6 is exactly the same way. And then, so we're going to go ahead and skip that for time's sake. Let's take a look at exercise 7. It says using whole notes, half notes, dotted dotted half notes. Half notes, I mean, there's like, they've got all these notes written in here. Here are the options. Should have done that before. You've got your dotted half, and now, I'm sorry, that was a really bad half note. Got your half note, your half rest, okay, your quarter note, and your quarter rest. Using those options, fill in exercise 7 and 8, then write the beats below and count time. And what they have available to you, they've got a bass clef drawn, and they've got a 3/4. So you have to work within the confines of this time signature. And then they tell you to write 4 measures. Okay, so I can't use a half note. The reason being, this is worth 4 beats. It's too big for this. This is a half rest. I can't use it. It's too big. But here we have our first instance where you can work it in. So I'm going to go ahead and write a dotted half because it takes up that. Then I'm going to use this one. Let's see. Can just write a half note, but I've got a beat left over. So I'm going to use a quarter note to fill out that extra beat. All right, and then I want to go ahead and use, say, the half rest. But then that only takes up 2 beats, so I've got something left over. I'll write that. And then over here, let's say the last measure. There. And so as long as we've got 3 beats, we're doing the right thing. Okay, over here, then I start my counting. Of course, 1-2-3, because it's a dotted half. 1-2, 3, R-R, R, 1, 2, R. I hope this, by me working through this, this exercise, and these exercises, that it gives you a better understanding of how to do all of this stuff. I know I'm working rather quickly, but remember, you can always go back and listen to something if you don't understand it. You can also ask me questions online. I may not be that super quick in responding, but I will answer your question. I will always answer any questions that you have, and I just want to do my best to help you guys out. So I enjoy working music theory and teaching you about music theory, and please just come on back and check out the new videos. All right, see ya.